The night was calm until hatred shattered it. It happened on a Friday evening in downtown Atlanta. The streets were alive with music, the chatter of families, and the faint scent of food trucks rolling by. Among the crowd was John Kennedy, a 27-year-old youth counselor known for his calm demeanor and his dream of opening a community center for underprivileged teens. He wasn't a celebrity, not a politician, just a man trying to make his corner of the world a little better. But that night, everything changed. As John crossed the street, a police cruiser screeched to a halt beside him. The officer Ray later identified as Sergeant Michael Harris, a man with a reputation for arrogance and a record of complaints, stepped out, hand already on his baton. Harris accused John of loitering and resisting directions, though all Job had done was pause to help a woman pick up groceries she'd dropped. Witnesses would later say the officer's tone was filled with hostility from the start. John tried to explain, his voice calm and even, but calm didn't matter to Harris. Within seconds, the officer raised his baton and brought it down hard on John's shoulder. The crack of wood against bone echoed through the street. People screamed. A mother pulled her child away. A cell phone camera turned on, capturing the brutality that would soon set social media on fire. John stumbled, clutching his shoulder, eyes wide with disbelief. "Why are you doing this?" he cried. "I didn't do anything." But Harris didn't stop. He shoved John to the ground, shouting insults and racial slurs that cut deeper than the blows. For a moment, it seemed like every step forward America had taken toward equality had been erased in an instant. Then something unexpected happened. A group of bystanders, instead of fleeing, stepped in. A middle-aged man, a young mother, a store clerk, strangers moments before formed a circle around John. They shouted for the officer to stop. One of them, Maria Thompson, live-streamed everything. Within minutes, hundreds were watching. Within an hour, thousands. When backup officers arrived, they found Harris red-faced and trembling, surrounded by citizens refusing to move. "You'll have to arrest all of us," Maria said, her phone still streaming. The officers hesitated. The world was watching. John was taken to the hospital with bruises and a fractured arm. Harris, on the other hand, was suspended within 48 hours. The video had gone viral, reaching millions. Outrage poured in from across the country. But it wasn't just anger, it was unity. People of every color, background, and belief came together under one message: enough is enough. Days later, something remarkable unfolded. Instead of seeking revenge, John called a press conference outside the police headquarters. His arm still in a sling, he faced the cameras with quiet strength. "I could hate him," John said softly, "but hate doesn't heal. What heals is truth. What heals is accountability. What heals is love." His words spread like wildfire. Schools began inviting him to speak about racial reconciliation and courage. Police departments used his story in new training programs on racial bias and community responsibility. And in a twist no one saw coming, Sergeant Harris himself requested to meet John after completing mandatory counseling and suspension. When they finally met, Harris looked like a broken man, not by punishment, but by realization. "I saw the video," he said, his voice shaking. "I saw who I was that night, and I hated it." John looked him in the eyes and extended his uninjured hand. "Then start by being better," he said simply. The handshake that followed didn't erase the pain, but it transformed it. It turned a moment of violence into a spark of change. Today, John Kennedy's community center stands proudly on the east side of Atlanta. A mural on its wall reads, "Love is the strongest protest." And sometimes, late at night, people say they see a police officer standing quietly outside, volunteering to help with food drives. The same man who once struck John down. The story of John Kennedy isn't just about racism or justice. It's about redemption, about the human power to change, and about the truth that no amount of hate can silence compassion. Because sometimes, the hardest lessons aren't taught in classrooms or courthouses. They're taught when one man chooses forgiveness over fury. And that's how a racist cop was taught the lesson of his life.